Hey everyone, Shahzad here. I hope you're having a great day because I'm bringing you another Dauntless video. In today's video, we will talk about Boreus, the newly announced behemoth that's coming to Dauntless. There were a couple of hints and teasers released in the past few weeks, both on Instagram and on Reddit and on Twitter by Dauntless, but finally, today we have the announcement of the new behemoth that's coming to the game. And it's gonna be a Frost one, like everyone speculated. So I'm happy we're finally getting another Frost behemoth, and he's most likely gonna be also in the Maelstrom, which is good because Pangar was getting lonely up there, and this guy does resemble him a bit, and I'm not 100 but 90% positive that his model is gonna be based on Pangar, or at least the model of his minions is definitely based on Pangar's head at least. Also, a quick side note guys, I'm once again streaming on Twitch 4 days a week at least, so be sure to check the link in the description and follow me there for some more gaming and also music production streams. When you look at the art and the wallpaper done for him, he does resemble Pangar and Hylian with having small arms, and you can see him having big legs, although the model is highly changed and I think it's gonna be a lot more detailed than the other one. We can be sure that the base for this behemoth is the same as the one for Pangar, for Hylian and for the Gnasher. Basically that big lumpy piece of meat that has large legs, that's on two legs, that's like a T-Rex. Basically, this is a T-Rex model again, unless I'm wrong and it's a completely new one, but I'm 90% sure that the model is the same one, and it's most likely gonna have a couple of new patterns and abilities and moves to do, but it's also gonna incorporate some of the old ones, or maybe I'm gonna be wrong and it's gonna be a completely new model, but we will see when he's fully released. For now, all of this is speculations based on what I can see on the screen. From the information given, he's gonna be a whole host of creatures and not a single behemoth. As you can see, those three flying thingies around him, those are his minions. Apparently he has 3 different minions which he can use and which are gonna fight alongside him during the combat. I don't know how they're gonna fight, whether he's gonna summon them periodically, whether they're gonna constantly be there, whether they're gonna spawn and respawn. But what I expect and I hope is that it's gonna be an interesting new fight with new aspects and new mechanics that bring up a little bit fresh air to the game and force old players to come back, because that's what the game currently needs. New behemoths, new mechanics, and a completely different moveset and strategies behind each behemoth. So Boreus, I hope you set the bar high and give us a lot of entertainment and fun to do. Back on his minions, all 3 of his minions are gonna be able to fly. Boreus, I think, also has wings from what I can see of the art, and I hope that he also has some flying mechanics or something like that. Maybe different than Rosacaris, who only glides around, and Karabak. I hope they start introducing more and more flying behemoths, because on the roadmap they did announce that they're gonna introduce aerial combat or more aerial aspects to combat, so Boreus is a nice start to expand the current content of available movesets which require you some more attention in the air, not only on the ground. I also hope that not all of his skill sets and abilities are centered around his minions, and that he's not just someone who's constantly staying static like Valomir. Valomir was a nice addition, but it would be nice not to repeat already created behemoths and copy something from them to another one. I don't want Boreus to have taken something from Valomir, since Valomir has his drones, this guy has his minions, so I hope that he's more mobile, has more abilities, has more attacks, and does not rely solely on the minions, but has mobility of his own, has attacks of his own. Valomir only has a couple of slams and a long range shot. I hope that this guy has more abilities which he can do alone and not only rely on the minions. So let's say that he has around 6-7 abilities and the minions have around, let's say 2 abilities each, and we have 3 different types of minions, so 6 abilities, totaling up to 12 abilities. What I want is the behemoth to be self-sufficient and not only sufficient on his drones or his minions, because otherwise that's gonna feel a little bit similar and the same as Valomir, and I don't think many people will enjoy it as much. So Boreus is gonna be a Frost behemoth, and from what Phoenix Labs have written, you will have to pay attention and deal with the minions rather than just ignore them, because I'm comparing this to Valomir a lot. When you fight Valomir, you have the option to ignore most of the drones and not worry about them, but I think against Boreus it's gonna be different, and you're gonna have to deal with not all but some of the minions, at least in the fight, otherwise you might end up being dead. I'm seriously excited about this behemoth, especially on Heroic, because knowing how Valomir was on Heroic, This guy with his minions is gonna be a nightmare. If I'm correct, he's gonna be a nightmare. He's gonna be very exciting and hard to do on heroic. But that's just a speculation. That's what I'm hoping for, because I want a bit more of a challenge. I don't know what you guys think. Share with me if you want him to be mediocre or you want him to be more hard, because I think Dauntless needs a little bit more harder behemoths, especially on the heroic maelstrom difficulty. And this guy is the perfect occasion to step it up the game a bit. So there are 3 variations of his minions: the Stalkers, the Spitters, and the Bombers. And each one of them looks like a hybrid between Pangar and a bat. One of them has legs, the other one doesn't have legs but has a longer tail, and the third one is as fat as some of the birds in Angry Birds. So the Stalkers are lean, toothy creatures that prefer to surround slayers and jab at them with their razor-sharp legs. They can be easily distinguished by their long, bladed-like limbs and are slightly smaller than other minions. So I presume these guys, they're gonna deal less damage but have quicker attacks and be more annoying than the other 2 minions. That's the feeling I'm getting for them from the description and the way they look. The second ones are the Spitters. They, aptly nicknamed Spitters, prefer to strike from range, lobbing cold frost charge projectiles from their mouths. These icy spitballs can inflict a surprising amount of harm on unexpecting slayers. So I presume these guys, as they've written, are gonna stay away from you and they're gonna constantly shoot ice bolts, I guess, icicles. Those are gonna be most likely the same as the ones Scrive and Pangar can shoot on different occasions, and they're most likely gonna freeze you. If they don't freeze you on normal difficulty, they're most definitely gonna freeze you or cause some negative effect on heroic difficulty for sure, and it's already written that they're gonna cause a surprising amount of damage to you. The final ones are the Bombers, and they look fat, and most of us can presume that they're gonna drop something or they're gonna be a self-destroying kamikaze, some of the 2. So let's see. Perhaps the most dramatic of the Boreus minions are the Bombers. Self-destructive creatures that can prime their bodies with an explosive ether charge. Bombers sacrifice themselves to blast the Boreus foes, sometimes even taking other minions with them. So from reading all of this, I know for sure that the minions are gonna respawn or get resummoned once they get killed or destroyed, and you can use the Bombers to destroy the other minions. So this is one strategy that we already know in advance, that the Bombers are gonna deal damage to the other minions. The question is whether the Bombers can also deal damage to Boreus himself. I would be interested to know that, because that's gonna be interesting strategy, especially if you can combine it with something else. Maybe he's gonna have a shield or something else that needs to be destroyed with the Bombers. That's just speculation, but I'm excited, and my brain is just thinking what new thing that they could have made for this guy and how more exciting or more different they can make it. Maybe they haven't made something like this, but I can inspire them to make it. Okay, so apparently Boreus will be doing the standard attacks with hoof, horns, tooth, etc. I think he has a tail, so we should expect at least a tail slam or a tail spin or something like that also. But apparently, after taking a substantial amount of damage, he's gonna surround himself in an impenetrable layer of aetheric ice, like a shield, and apparently we can destroy the shield by normally attacking it, but by destroying his minions, we're gonna empower our weapons with enough power to bring the cold shield down faster. This is interesting. This is a new mechanic, and I hope the implementation is done nicely. There's gonna be a fine need for tuning the damage necessary by normal weapons and the damage necessary when you get empowered by destroying the minions, and also how you balance that between a single player and multiple players. I hope that they don't make him too easy for multiple players or too easy for a single player. So Phoenix Labs, please balance him properly between solo and team groups, because a lot of players hunt solo and a lot of players also hunt by team. So the proper balance needs to be done, especially for something like a shield, which requires damage to be destroyed. The other question is, while he's in the ice shield, will he still do attacks and deal damage, or will we only have to deal with the minions? That's a good question, and I hope that when he's in the ice shield, he gets some new abilities or something changes, and not only the minions get to attack us and we don't have to deal only with them but with him. The more the merrier, right? Finally, I want to use the occasion to show you how the Boreus gear is gonna look, and I think it looks amazing. I loved when Riftstalker came out and how his armor and weapons looked. Valomir was something in the middle, but Boreus, it looks like a ram, an icy ram set, but it looks awesome. For me, I like it. I like the looks. We don't have any pictures of how the weapons are gonna look, but I think they're gonna look nice. I think they're gonna have a nice effect and have a nice pattern to them. so expect something like that. There's gonna be a new sale, of course, which I'm gonna talk about in the upcoming video once the Behemoth releases and we get to test the sale. And also, I think the weapons are gonna have some sort of special effect, which we don't know. I hope that's a new effect. I hope they don't reuse one of the old effects. But if they reuse an old one, I cannot say for sure which one they're gonna use. And on a final note, on the horizon, they're mentioning that there are gonna be other mysteries and stuff added to the game, as lush foliage is creeping into the city along with strange farslayers visiting from distant islands known as the Wildlands. Why are they here and what do they want? Well, we cannot say for sure, but Boreus is not gonna be the only surprise and the only news we're getting. As Dauntless is getting closer and closer on releasing on consoles and the Epic Store, I presume that we're gonna get a huge patch, the same as when the Austrian repeaters were releasing, which is gonna move the story forward, add a new Behemoth, add possibly a new weapon or something else. I think it's time for the next big update to hit Dauntless, and I presume spring is gonna be the time we see it, so April and May may be very well the big months for Dauntless this year. Well, they were the big months for Dauntless last year because it released into open beta. So tell me what you think about Boreus, about the speculation on my side, about what may be coming to Dauntless. Comment section, guys, down below. Anything you want to share with me, be sure to give me the feedback. As always, thanks for watching the video and be sure to like it and dislike it if you did not. Don't forget to check the links in the description to my Twitch, where I now stream 4 days a week, my Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Discord, where I invite you to follow me. Finally, of course, you want to see more content like this, then subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon in order to get notifications. Shadow Strider out. Take your time.